Hello and welcome to our Gen Con 2024 wrap-up video. We did 3 days at the con this year.
We did a lot. We covered a lot of ground.
We did. We got through the entire hall.
Mm-hmm.
We got over to Lucas Oil, which we had never done before, and
Yep.
we had done some other things.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just kind of start off with kind of our general impressions. You said you heard 85,000 people.
86,000, yeah. That's what the estimated total was.
Which I think the previous record was 65,000. I think that was right before COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a lot of people. And it definitely felt like there were a lot of people.
There were a lot of people just in the hallways, in the hall, just about in like the hotels. Obviously, Lucas Oil was packed with people. So yeah, there was definitely a bunch of people there.
Yeah, it didn't matter where you went.
Mm-hmm.
The place felt like it was full.
Yep.
We did a wrap-up video, Facebook Live, Thursday and Friday. We didn't do one last night because we had come home and we were frankly pretty tired.
I'm still tired.
So, in case you didn't see those, just real quick, on Wednesday we went to an Asmodee press event.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see several games, Mandalorian Adventures, yeah, and then Survive the Island, which I think they said it was going to be at Target. And it's only like $30, but this game had some
really good components.
Yeah, that was really cool.
They were
Plus,
all wooden and all.
It kind of caught our eye.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah.
I think ahead of time when we knew that it was going to be there, we didn't really know much about it. But after we saw the demo of it, looks pretty interesting.
Yep.
And it's got quite a bit of take that.
Yes.
So someone here is probably going to be, you know, a little on the mean side.
That'll be cool. But yeah, it was a really cool event. We got to meet with some other media personalities. We got to see some of our old friends in the industry.
Yeah.
We got some swag from Asmodee, so that was cool. But yeah, it was a really cool way to kind of kick off our Gen Con experience for the weekend.
And that was kind of, the kickoff.
Yeah.
Because then what we did was we went over and we were able to kind of go through the convention center, which there were a ton of people on for a Wednesday.
Yeah. I mean, the line to get through Will Call was about 30 minutes that night, which wasn't bad. It still went down, you know, past the like the Gen Con merch booth down that way at the Wabash lobby. But I mean, it was moving consistently. The guy in charge of the line was really good at making sure, you know, traffic flowed.
Yeah, he was.
Right there. He was like on it. But yeah, everyone was checking in Wednesday night, and then people were just like milling about the hall. So we had time to go through and look at all of like the display cases that are up, you know, without everyone like crowding around there. So we kind of got a little bit of a preview of what the vendors were going to be offering at their booths. And then we said, hey, let's go check out Cardhalla and see like the origins of it. We've always, you know, give updates on it, but we've never participated in it. So this year we built our own little tower. And
we kind of documented that. We're going to show you through the pictures, but anytime we did a level, we would take a picture because the first level, I think, fell down two or three times.
I could never get it to start. You were always good at getting that base started, and then I could build around it.
And after watching how some other people were doing it, we kind of learned some tips and tricks. So
we bent some of the cards and then figure out how to do the structure as we kept going. Some people were doing really intricate ones. They were like making boxes to build. One person made like a sphere that was underneath one of the tables at one point in time. I don't know how they did that either, unless they brought like tape, but I don't think they did either. So it was very cool. There were a lot of cool towers, and it was cool to actually like see the progression from the start of the evening, like how everything was within the blue tape on Wednesday night, started encroaching outside of that on Thursday, and by Friday, like the tape didn't matter. It was just pretty much the carpet.
Saturday, everybody was like right to the edge of the carpet.
Yeah.
And every time we would walk by, we would look and see, oh, did somebody knock our building over? Nope, it was still standing.
We had the lucky, I think, opportunity of placement there. We built it kind of behind one of the folding tables that was set up, like, of the cards. But then once that table came down, there was a really big tower that was like pretty close to ours, so that kind of blocked our tower from being knocked down compared to that one.
And I looked on YouTube today to see if I could find a video that somebody would have posted of the destruction, because that happened Saturday night at 10:30.
It was late.
But I haven't found it yet, so
keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I want to look at that. The other thing was new to us is we found the Hall of Pinball Machines.
That was more because we were staying downtown that night. It was close to our walkway to take the skywalk back over to the Union Station Hotel. Yeah, I was like, there's pinballs down here. I was like, let's just go look and see what they have. And it was like on the walkway to Lucas Oil. And I was like, oh, these are really cool. And then I saw Guardians of the Galaxy one, and I said, oh, it's only 8 credits. I'm like, I gotta see how much the credits cost, because I gotta play a Guardians one. So I got a $20 card, and we played like 7 or 8 games.
So we played Guardians, we played James Bond, Doctor Who.
3 Doctor Who's. I did Guardians, I did Mando, we did Bond, we did 2 Pirates, Caribbean.
Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we picked some really cool ones to do. But yeah, that was a fun way too, to something we never done before.
Yeah, that was kind of Wednesday. Thursday, the first thing we did was we were way in the back of the pack to get into the hall.
Yeah.
But we were trying to get Comic Hunters, which was like a game.
Big game.
Yeah, it was a game I found out just days before we went. But then when we were walking the hall Wednesday night, we started seeing a lot of promotional material for that. They did one of the stairs with it.
Yeah,
They did
had
a huge window.
Yeah.
We're like, okay,
this is gonna get some buzz.
So we got in line. We stood in line for half an hour. Then they finally came by and they said, well, we only had 150 copies and they're sold out.
Yeah. And that line was a hot mess too that morning. They were not really organized for that rush. It looped around a bunch of different booths. We hung out around the All Play booth at that time. So I got to check out all the All Play games. But then, yeah, the people like at that booth were kind of like, y'all here for Spin Master? We're like, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of the whole thing. Thursday, we also got through about half the hall, which we went at a pretty leisurely pace, and we actually filmed a lot of demos and overviews.
Yeah, we did.
So I got a lot of work to do. But you'll see all that later.
But we did get some games on Friday.
We did.
Yeah. Or Thursday, sorry.
Thursday,
yeah. So the first booth we always like to stop at is our friends at Looney Labs, because they are that first corner booth there in Hall 100. We were kind of talking to them about, what kind of new flexes are coming out, what's on your radar. They have 3 in the works right now. We talked about this a little in our wrap-up, but it's going to be a cat or a feline flex. They haven't decided on the name yet. A mystery flex, which they're still working that out, because it will either be like your pop culture, like detectives and mysteries, or it'll be like a clue side of things. So they're still kind of
combination of
figuring out the sweet place for that. And then a word flux, which is going to be like math flux, but with no number, so I might actually have a chance at that.
And also 100 Acre Woods flux.
Yeah, so that one was a preview. It was previewed at Origins, I believe, and then it didn't quite make it in time for this con, but it should be coming out next month. But we did get some cool things from them. We did get Jumanji Flex, which I'm excited about, because this looks like, based on the card art on the back, it's from the newer movies. So there should be a Ruby Roundhouse card in here, which is Karen Gillan's character, which of course I'm excited about.
And the Rock.
Yeah, there's the Rock and Kevin Hart and all. But we did get a little collector's coin inside there, so that's pretty cool. And then we also get the MacGuffin. I keep on calling him MacGuffin. Yeah, so this was like a little party game. They had 5 to 10 minutes, and they were giving out promo cards for that as well. So I know, like, on Saturday, I think if you came up and gave the Loonies like a high five, you would get like the high five promo card for this. So that was what we got from them.
Yeah. And then you got to do a demo that I was a little jealous about, because
you were doing video for
I was doing video, and Play Like a Pirate Day is coming up, and this was a game that I actually found out about before Gen Con as well. I read through the rule book, but this is Scallywager. This is basically Liar's Dice, but you have cards that are going to give you special abilities. It'll tell you when you can play them. And if you're not familiar with Liar's Dice, basically what you're going to do, everybody rolls their dice in secret. One person leads off and they say, there's 5 5s or 7 6s, things like that. And if you believe them, then you either up the bid or you change the pip value. So if you said 7 6s, I might come back with 8 3s. And then
it has to be more than that.
And if you didn't believe that there were 8 3s amongst all of the players added up, then you call them a scallywagger.
Yeah.
But if you think that that is the correct number, then you could call parlay. And if you were correct, then the person that you called parlay on has to lose 2 dice, which are your crew. But if you were wrong, you have to lose 2.
Yep. I actually won the demo of it, so I was very happy about that. And then we got a little promo pack of cards as well. Yeah. So that was really cool. Yeah,
this was probably going to hit the channel fairly quickly just because it's going to be probably played at Play Like Pirate Day.
Yeah.
So
we made some new friends.
We did.
Yeah.
In fact, this booth was not even on our radar, but they had a couple of games that we looked at that really caught our attention. The first one I'm going to talk about is one we don't have, and I think it was called Mistwind, and it is a pick up and deliver, but it has furry whales that fly.
Yeah, there's like no bodies of water, so they're flying whales that deliver everything around.
And they're furry.
Yeah, furry whales.
Was that just so they could sell a plush?
Because they did have a cute plush. Yeah, they had plushes. I don't know, but that was kind of cool.
That was kind of a big game. Had a really cool map.
The figures looked really cool on that, like the whale figures. So yeah, we'll show you that in our little video we took later.
Yep, but the other game that we looked at was
Town Builder Cavorden. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So this was a smaller little card game. You're getting resources, you're building your town, you can get victory points, different win conditions. So yeah, this one looked really cool. All the cards had unique art on them as well. So like a building isn't like the same building across. They're all different architecture. Unique cards. Yeah, so very cool. So yeah, excited to bring this one to the channel.
That one looked really fun.
Yeah, it did. So yeah, the artwork looks really cool on it too. So I'm excited for this one.
And that is First Fish.
First Fish Games. Yeah. So yes, thank you.
And they were really pleasant to talk to.
Yeah, they were really cool. We hung out there.
In fact, the gentleman that we talked to was one who had done the art for that game and for.
He did the world building.
Yeah, he did the map.
Yeah, because I was like, I've never like heard of some of these places, so I was like, did you come up with this like fantasy like map thing? He's like, yeah. I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So we did do that. Another game that we got that day, I like right across the way was the Everything Epic booth. So we got the Librarians Quest for the Spear expansion, which brings in Flynn Carson's character.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that, and I got you to binge it all. So
yeah, and we covered the Librarians Adventure card game on the channel last year. So yeah, so kind of looking forward to this one.
Excited to get this one. Yep. And then we also stopped at Smirk and Dagger.
Yes.
We got some big games from
them. Kurt, the main guy over at Smirk and Dagger, he was very gracious to give us this next game. We had talked about it before. I think it came out last year, Tesseract. And this
23, yeah.
And this is a game that has a ton of dice. Basically, you have a cube of dice, and you're going to be trying to kind of dwindle that down, do things with the dice. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, lots in here.
But they were selling that, but that wasn't what they were featuring.
Their big game was Hi-Fi, which I'm really excited about. This one caught my eye when we walked over to the booth. It's about the Meeples band coming back together, and you're trying to do the B-side of their like last song and kind of working on that. So you're the producer trying to get it together.
And basically you've got cards and you're trying to put them in certain spaces in order to
make the mix.
To get the mix, but you've got to score them before somebody else does a remix on it.
Yeah.
But this is
you can mess with people with it.
This is very well themed. When you open the box,
it's a very functional box. Yeah, it'll turn into the record player once we unbox
and
it.
the action selection, you'll have your needle for your record, and you move that to where the action is.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And if you look at I don't know if this will show up on camera or not, but right there is like your old ports on your stereo. So
it's cool.
That looked really neat.
Very well themed. Yeah.
It was.
We picked up another game on Thursday.
Oh yes, so we did purchase this. They were not doing demos of this, which is kind of surprising.
This booth was doing a lot of anime. There's like Attack on Titan, I think they were sponsoring a lot of.
But Star Trek Star Realms was, as soon as we heard about it, we knew this was one that we were going to get, regardless. So
yeah, this was not at Wise Wizard Games booth. This was at UVS booth. So they were doing more of the anime thing, but they were also the ones selling it. They had limited quantities that day.
There were only, I think, 4 copies left that day when we bought it.
Yeah. Yeah, because we were at lunch, I was updating social, and I saw on Instagram, they're like, yeah, we only have a couple copies left, and I was like, we gotta finish eating. I was like, we gotta get back over there and get that.
Yeah, and Friday when we went through, they were out completely. Saturday they had a few
only
left.
A few. Yeah, I don't know what Sunday's count was.
But yeah, that one flew off the shelves. So this was one, keep an eye on the channel because we are going to be unboxing this soon. Probably in when we get done with this video, because I know you're dying to see it.
I am, yeah. I love Star Realms.
So that was kind of Thursday.
Yes.
Friday, we got in line for Comic Hunters. We got there very early. We were, in fact, the first ones, or right at the kind of the cord to get into the hall.
Yeah, but we were on the wrong side of the entrance.
Okay, Gen Con. I don't know why you did this. You opened the doors,
I don't know if it was Gen Con or if it was like the convention hall's security
but
staff.
They funneled everybody through the middle. So think of all these people, and you've got a rope across here. And we were here in the corner because that was right next to the door we needed to get into. But they weren't lowering the cord here. They were funneling everybody through this point. So it was just kind of a big funnel, and that didn't work well for anybody. But we found out after we got in line that this was being sold at Barnes & Noble.
Yes.
But we did get our copy.
The line management was better. They had it loop cut off, and then we were like along the far end of the hall lined up, and then you had like certain people go across the way.
Yeah.
But there was like traffic jam at the intersection you need to cross, so
but
we got it.
Yeah, because my buddy Dave Taylor had said, hey, I'm getting my copy at Barnes & Noble's today. I just pre-ordered it. Yeah. So I'm like, well, I kind of wish I knew that. But here's the thing. You got 10% off if you got a little card from the Spin Master booth, for Comic Hunters. But the game's designer was there. Yeah. And he wrote a nice little signing inside of our box lid. Plus, if you did the demo, then you also got some promo cards. If I can take these out of here without destroying everything. There they are.
Okay, yeah. So we got some foils after we played the demo because we were in line to purchase. And they were saying, oh, if you want to come back into the booth, we have a separate demo line. They said it's probably going to take like 10 minutes to get through the demo line. Once we had purchased, though, the game, we got in the different line to meet the designer. He signed it. We walked right out. We were like 2 people ahead of us for the demo, and then like 2 tables opened up, so we got right in. But yeah, we have a nice deck of foil cards. They're very cool, like the iridescent looking. So yeah, we've got Spidey, Black Panther, Black Widow, Hulk, Iron Man, Cap, Thor, Doctor Strange, and Venom. Yeah, so very cool.
This was $25 at the con. And I believe it's $25 at Barnes & Noble as well.
It was 10% off.
Really good price point. Well, that 10% basically, was covered your tax, essentially. But it was nice that we got the promos and we got to meet the designer.
Yeah, so that was really cool.
That was nice. And that was kind of like, once we found out that was kind of a mad rush, and before we knew about the Barnes & Noble thing, that was our top priority.
That was.
So we were able to get it, and we were pretty happy with that.
Yeah, the designer was really cool, and that was something, I don't know, I noticed it more this convention. A lot of the game designers were at the booths doing a lot of signing of their games. I know for like Rock Hard, their designer was there. I know some couple other artists were at the booths doing signings, so I don't know why, like this year, this was kind of more of a thing, but I think it's really cool you get those games personalized, especially if they're going into your personal collection. Like you don't think you're going to trade it down the line if you did get it personalized. But yeah, I just think that was really cool to get the chance to meet some of those people. Yeah.
I'd say we probably got through, and I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, about a fourth of the way through the hall, or an extra fourth of the way.
We took more time Friday because we spent like an hour just in Spin Master's area with the line and then the demo and all.
And we were going, like I said, very leisurely, and we were also filming a lot of overviews.
Yep.
Saturday.
Friday.
Oh, I'm still on Friday.
Yeah.
You started doing.
Yeah, so
we went by the Catan booth.
Yeah, we went by the Catan booth, and this really cool woman in the Catan robe that you wanted.
I thought the robe was pretty cool. It's like a boxer's robe.
Yeah, they're like, hey, do you want to go on a side quest? And I was like, well, of course I do. Like, why not?
Trade with other folks until you have all 5 different resources, okay? And then you can come back here for a special pin. Side quest for you.
So you would get a little baggie of Catan buttons. We had the wood resource. You got 5 of them in your baggie. And you had to go around and find other people with buttons on their lanyards in order to get all of the resources. So right as we were leaving the hall Friday night, we actually got we needed stone or brick. I forget which one we needed last.
Stone.
We were looking for both of them. Yeah.
Stone, yeah.
So we ended up trading for stone. So then once we got back in the hall Saturday morning, you got to go and collect your robber sheep was like your reward for completing the set. So that was also kind of like an identifier of like looking at people's lanyards, like, do they have a purple pin? Because then they're probably not going to want to touch their set of like what they had. So that was really cool. And then their pin of the day too is this really nice enamel Catan board. So that was really cool. I know someone came up to you and was like, where did you get that? Like, did you buy it?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's free at the table.
Free at the table, yeah.
They had some really cool freebies too. They had a different pen on Thursday. But, like, I think it's really cool. And they had this really cool ribbon. I went in on the ribbons this year because that was fun. But it's pronounced Catan or Catan. So I think that was funny. They also had chapstick they were giving out too. So I got like a raspberry chapstick.
I think you said chopstick. Chapstick. Yeah, they had like 3 different flavors: raspberry, strawberry, and lemon, I think.
No, it was pear.
Oh, it was pear?
It was pear.
Oh.
Yeah.
The doctor doesn't like pears, does he?
I didn't want pears either. So I was like, the lemon wouldn't have been bad, but I got the raspberry. So yeah. But then we also saw our good friend at Foxmind. So we got to talk to them. So the game we got from them is Lucky Jack. And it's like a Uno set collection with like the slot machine, like
cherries and fruits.
Cherries, lemons, grapes, clovers, bells, sevens, and the jack or joker, knight, whatever.
Yeah, that one looks kind of neat.
It does look really cool. And then we got to see a prototype of Slangwich.
Yes, so if you like Deadlines,
which we do,
and it's on the channel, which is also now available on Target. The Slangwich is going to be kind of the sequel to that, where you're going to be coming up with some different, basically like you have to
identify so like there's different like ways of doing it. So like you can get the word, you either have to come up with like how you would use it in a sentence, like make a song with it, like how would you sell this new like word, and like the card that we got in our demo was we got the definition and then it was used in a sentence, but like it was blank in the sentence, and you had no idea what it was. So it was like the definition was exactly right, and the word was like, their outfit is blank, like it looks so good, and it was on fleek, which I hate it.
I've never heard that. Where did that come from?
I have no idea. Probably TikTok. I don't know, something stupid. But so I was like, I think it's on fleek, and they're like, yeah, like, and then you have to guess what era did it come from. So it's from the 1920s to the 2020s is your time frame, and it was from the 2010s. So I would have got like that point in the game. But it was kind of a fun little party game, so I'll be excited to see that one in the future.
The other thing, kind of how we closed out the day, is we met with Dan, and he is a game designer for Legacy at Sea.
Yes.
This is a new pirate game that is just funded on Kickstarter, but it is more of a historically accurate version. If you think of like Merchants and Marauders and things like that, this is going to have the real pirates of the Caribbean.
There's no fantasy elements in it.
Correct.
So no krakens or sirens or mermaids.
But we spent quite a bit of time with him. He gave us an overview. You'll be able to see that video too. That was not going to be coming out until probably at least next year at the earliest.
There's a Kickstarter for it though, and it's been backed.
Yeah,
it's
funded. They're still they haven't hit all their stretch goals yet, so the campaign is still open if you want to go check that out. But yeah, that is Legacy.
Legacy at Sea.
Legacy at Sea.
But that was in the play hall. So then after we did that, we were kind of looking because the hall had closed at that point. So we were just taking in the mass of people that then funneled into that side hall.
And there's just tables of tables
so
of
A
people
through
playing
E
games.
hall was crazy packed. And we saw a game and we were just kind of peeking through, and that was from Cosmos.
Yeah, and it is a game.
Nunatek?
Yeah, and it's really cool because you're basically building it like an ice
palace, like Elsa.
Well, No, it's like a temple.
Yeah.
And you're going to be building it level by level.
So it looks like a pyramid. It was really kind of cool.
But they had it at their booth.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one that we will be featuring on the channel
later.
Probably within the next couple of months.
Yeah. So then after we exited that, we exited the hall. We were back in the hallway. We looked at the big balloon structure, which, you know, normally keeps growing throughout the con. And this one, I think, pretty much had just more decorations being put on because it was sponsored by Gnome Hollow, which was the game from the op. So it was really cool. They had those big giant gnome balloon structures that then people were getting inside of and like dancing around, little gnomes.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny. But we got to go into the balloon structure. So that was really cool. It looked like the little house inside. There was like a gnome sleeping on the bed. They had the game set up in there.
Yeah, I was amazed at the
really
amount
cool.
of detail they had in there.
So yeah, you can only have like 4 people in at a time. Like keep your backpack close. Don't touch anything and break it. But that was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, and then after we left that hall, on our way out, we saw a bunch of people playing Star Wars Shatterpoint. And that was, they had, I mean, like terrain
stuff,
and ships and all that.
It was an indoor map.
Looked really cool. There, I think there was like 3 different tables with 3 different settings.
Bunch of tables,
But then when we were walking through the hall, you saw the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game.
Yeah, so they had ads on like the side of the stairs and escalators that we were going up to catch the skywalk back to the parking garage. And I was like, I just kind of like want to pop into their booth and like in front of their room, they had like the X logo from like the X-Men mansion. So that was kind of cool. I was like, well, let's just go in and look. So we got to talk to their rep who gave us like an overview. It's a much simpler version of kind of doing Marvel RPGs.
And I thought I was actually filming the demo, the overview. Yeah, and I looked, I'm like, I guess I didn't hit the record.
Because we did plan to have good footage of, like, the brand new book for DMs, and it was going over all the different character sheets. So it was really cool. It's a much simplified version. Yeah, much simplified version of playing it than, like, a 5e system. You only have 3 dice that are D6s, and there's a Marvel dice. And if you get a 6 and a 6 on the white dice and your Marvel dice, like, the 1 was, or no, it was a 6 on that one. That was the Marvel logo. But then if you place it together, it looks like 616, and that's like a crit. So it was kind of cool how they did that.
Marvel was on the 1.
Oh, I thought it was, that was the 6.
No,
so that was the crit.
I think it was the 1. Oh, maybe it was. I don't know.
But it was really cool. They were doing 2 to 4 hour sessions of it to kind of get you in, and they were doing a Deadpool campaign, and then once you finished playing that, it was a ticketed event, you could have got the Deadpool like little book with it.
The one-off,
yeah, so that was really cool, because I had played a Marvel D&D campaign in college, but it was the mutants and masterminds, and it was way more complex. So this was a much more simplified version, which I liked and wish I still had my group available so we could play that. But it was really cool. Yeah, and they were giving away little Wolverine like figures for it, and then if you went to their booth and did it, you could have got a Jean Grey figure. So it was really cool.
So that was pretty much Friday. Saturday
Not
was
Friday night though. When we did our wrap-up video, we had someone inquire about our merchandise because we were wearing our pirate shirts at the time. So this is a shameless plug with product placement. We do have Sir Meeple Apparel. It does our shirts, but they also do mugs in your color of choice.
Yeah.
So I have a blue one. And I need tea because my throat hurts from the con. Did a lot of talking and all.
So Saturday, I would say, was kind of our chill morning. We knew we were going to be going home. That was going to be our last day.
We weren't going to rope drop anything. We had done everything we wanted to do, mainly.
We had seen this. They had a couple of soundproof booths, or I don't know what you want to call them, but
panic booths.
Yeah, we found one. Nobody was in, so we kind of got in there, and I told Megan, I said, just yell and see if I can hear you. I can hardly hear her.
Yeah.
But we chilled out and we played Lord of the Rings Love Letter again.
Hobbit. Not Lord of the Rings.
Sorry.
Hobbit. But yeah, we played that. I mean, and once you're in there, it like vacuum seals almost sounds like. And there's like white noise going on. The only thing we could hear near the end of our game were like people shouting, and I think it was from the Lorcana line, like that mass of people were cheering, but like we couldn't hear anything. So like when we reopened the door to step out, you could hear the buzz of the hall. So I would have been really curious to like go back up there like in the middle of the swing of the day just to hear like how much you really couldn't hear.
Yeah, I kind of wish we were in one of those booths right now because we have some noisy neighbors, and if you're hearing background sounds, it's coming from them. But one of the things you wanted to do, and we were able to do Saturday morning, was to do a demo of Rock Hard from DeVere.
Yeah, so their booth was like in one of the rooms along the main entrance hall. They were doing like pre-sale. I think they started at 8 a.m. selling their 150 some copies of the game that morning.
Which sold out every day.
Yeah, the designer was in there too, so she was signing, and I thought it was funny. Based on the cover art of the guy, you know, playing the guitar, it's like his jacket's riding up, his pants are riding low, so there's like a patch of bare skin, and she was signing like a tramp stamp tattoo there, which I thought was kind of cool, like interesting placement for his signature, but it works with the theme. So yeah, we waited. They lined us up about like 8:50 to get in line. 9 a.m. they started doing demos, so we got on one of the demo tables. We played 3 rounds, which took about 45 minutes with explanation and just kind of figuring it out.
And we were done like right before 10 o'clock.
Yeah. But it was really fun. I'm excited to get that later.
We definitely will be bringing that to the channel regardless. So
yes.
Yeah, keep an eye open for that.
It was really fun. A lot of the flavor text is just, it's very funny. There are a lot of innuendos in it though. There is, you know, not sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but partying, candy, and rock and roll. Yeah. So they made it a little bit more family friendly, but if you get it, you're gonna realize, oh, that's a sex joke. Yeah. But it was cool. It was really fun. The components for that were amazing too.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
The player board looks like an amp, and like your dials were like really cool to like change your settings and all. So yeah, it was really cool.
I took quite a bit of video during that, so we'll especially the explanation. But yeah.
Yeah. We got this free dice that I keep playing with. That was at a booth. Yeah. Dave and Adams. It's like a stressy.
You got to roll it, and if you rolled a 6,
you got to keep it.
You get to keep
I got it 4, but you got a 6. So I got a 6. Keep playing with it.
So once we got in the hall, we
finished the hall.
We finished where we hadn't gone before. So when we were walking over to Lucas Oil, that was going to be kind of our wrap up. We saw a number of people that were doing cosplays, and we saw this really cool Mandalorian with the Darksaber.
He was cool.
And he posed for you. So you got a good
he saw when I was moving up with the camera, so he posed. It was really cool.
But the funniest part was there was a guy that was dressed up like a piñata.
He was letting kids hit him.
He had padding underneath him, but he looked like a piñata, and the kid
whacked on him.
The kid whacked him, and what he would do is he would take a piece of candy out of his pocket and have it in his hand. So as soon as they hit him, he would kind of toss it up, and it was kind of funny. Yeah. But then we got over to Lucas Oil Stadium.
So many people over there too. I mean, just the walk over, obviously like the exit was to the food trucks, which is where the block party got moved to this year. So they were all that way. And we went over around lunchtime, so it was just busier in general. But then like the under like hallway walkway over, that was where True Dungeon was set up. So you had people moving there. There were other vendors along that hallway set up, and then I mean there was just so many people. But then once you got into Lucas Oil, like obviously the sound like of people you could hear,
and there were a lot of people on Lucas Oil, where the stadium floor is at.
They had a bunch of play tables. They had the game library down there.
But they but it was right at lunch, so a lot of people were eating at the concession stands over there,
or grabbing from the food trucks and bringing in for some AC.
And they were just sitting in the seats, kind of chilling and watching everybody.
Off. So it was really cool. I mean, just the amount of people that were in there. It will probably be that loud in a couple months when Taylor Swift sells it out. Yeah. But there were a lot of friendship bracelets too. I know people were posting about that. So that was kind of fun. People were giving them out. I got this Star Trek one from someone at the Modifius booth. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. So we were kind of trying to figure out what were the hottest games. We knew Comic Hunters was hot.
Comic Hunters Rock Hard.
Rock Hard, because they were always selling out of that. The other thing was a game called Arcs. That was by Leader Games. Don't know anything about it.
They didn't have demos out. Their booth was pretty big, and they had a bunch of games behind them to sell, but they were selling out of that every day too. Yeah,
we could have bought one if we wanted to.
Yeah, because by the time we walked by, we could have got in line and picked up a copy, but we just don't know what it is.
One of the other hot games, I don't know if it's just because the guys that were around us on Friday, but Slay the Spire, which I don't know anything about. It's based on a app game.
Yeah,
because they were playing it on their phone, and they were like
fantasy battle type game. Yeah.
So that was kind of that. Let's talk about our anticipated game list that we had. So Pirates of Maracaibo was number 1 on my list. I was going to buy it at Gen Con, but found out that Miniature Market actually had it quite a bit cheaper So I placed the order for that today.
Mm-hmm.
But I did buy they had a promo card that has 2 new figureheads on it. So they were selling that for $5. So I went ahead and I picked that up. But there's also a playmat for it for $20. So I got the game and the playmat ordered. It was $50 and $25 respectively for the game and the mat at Gen Con. So saved a little bit of money there. Another game that I had on my list was Star Trek: The Captain's Chair by WizKids.
Yes.
We actually got an overview of that from the game designer, David Tersey, and this was one I've got to say we were disappointed with.
That was something, I know I was kind of looking forward to it too, just because I normally like the Star Trek themed games. But the game system, just looking at it, was not for me at all. They said it was like a European style. We're not really into like the Euro game mechanics, and so I'm not at all. But yeah, like after standing by the booth and like watching the 2 different demos going and then getting his explanation, I was like, this is not for me. But I'm like, if it's for you,
yeah,
cool,
it didn't really grab me then. I was more excited before I knew about the game, and then afterwards I'm just like, Clans of Midgard, we got a demo of that. That's going to be one that we'll be getting. So if you like Vikings.
From Gray Fox Games.
Yeah. Dracula versus Van Helsing by 25th Century Games was one that...
it was on both of our lists.
Yeah, and I had watched it previously on Game Night with Lincoln and Nikki. And so I kind of knew how it was played, but I wanted to do a demo of it, but they weren't doing any demos. So
they had a very small booth.
Didn't get to see that.
And that was something I noticed too, and I don't know if it was just because a lot of these, vendors were pushing more to sell, but a lot of the booths were not doing demos, or they just kind of had a very small setup, and it just wasn't like,
overviews.
Like you couldn't play a turn, but they were like, okay, here's components, and we'll tell you about it. I know a lot of more of the demos are like happening in different parts of the convention now. Either like you get a ticket to play it, or like, you just go into the play hall, or like some people had like the rooms, like DeVere was doing, demos of Rock Hard in their room, but not at the booth.
Well, so, no, they were doing demos.
They were doing overviews.
Couldn't sit, overviews.
Yeah, they weren't doing a sit down and play it. So I've noticed that was kind of a different situation. Now, obviously, Asmodee had a huge booth for demos. But yeah, like overall, there really weren't that many places where you could sit down and do some demos.
Yeah. The last one that was kind of on my list was Rebel Princess by Bezier. Sadly, when we went by the Bezier booth,
no one was doing
They weren't doing demos of that, so we didn't get a chance to see that.
They were also not selling the last 2 silver games, which we do not have in our collection, and I was hoping to maybe pick those up. But they weren't there.
Yeah, I don't know if they sold out or what.
Well, they weren't even on their price list. They had the other 4, but not the 2 newest, so I don't know. So
on your list, you had Dracula versus Van Helsing, which we talked about. We've talked about Star Trek Star Realms.
Yes, I made sure we picked that up.
Panda Royale from Last Night Games.
Yeah.
That was one that you said you had found out about TikTok. They had a copy of it in the press room, so we were able to open it up and take a look at that. That one actually looks pretty good.
So we went over to their booth. The guy kind of gave us a very brief overview of it. And it looks really cool, so we'll have to see, once the con wraps down. Yeah, hopefully we'll get that one.
Star Wars Villainous, Revenge at Last.
So the Ravensburger booth, was not doing any type of previews on
They're
that.
Too busy focusing on selling Lorcana.
It was just selling Lorcana. So I know in the past, like, they've had other tables set up to kind of show off those games. I was really more curious about, like, what the figures would look like.
They were selling it because we saw people with
They were selling it, but it was just strictly Lorcana, pretty much, to get in there.
Go get it at Target.
We'll get it at Target, but I just kind of wanted to see it. The Star Wars deck building game, the Clone Wars version from Asmodee, was not there.
Yeah,
which
we don't know why.
I was extremely disappointed about. I don't know if it was, production wasn't ready, if it got, delayed with shipping.
Because it was overseas. On their list for the press event, but it wasn't there.
It was going to be one of the items at the press event. They had the poster up at the press event, and then one person had the box lid in her hand the whole time, but she was always busy. We could never talk to her. We never got to see that, and that was something I was really anticipating, looking forward to, and just didn't happen.
Yeah, and then you were also looking for some Baldur's Gate stuff.
I saw a lot of cosplayers in Baldur's Gate, and then like Artist Alley had artwork, but the Larian booth was focusing on like a mini game that was nothing to do with Baldur's Gate, but I was just kind of curious of what was going to be there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So some of the other games that we anticipate that we're going to be having on the channel that we saw, some of these we've already mentioned. from Asmodee, the Mandalorian Adventures, Survive the Island, the Star Wars deck building game for Clone Wars, and they didn't have the new Ticket to Ride.
I
was kind of surprised.
See,
I thought that would have been at their booth.
They had they had Legacy.
They had the Legacy one, but they didn't have the new one, the Iberia and South Korea map.
So I was curious about that too.
And they didn't have any. I thought they also might have like the new train sets for the 20th anniversary Ticket to Ride. They didn't have those either.
It looked like a lot of the things they were selling too at their booth was with GameGenix.
Yeah, they had a lot of GameGenix products.
So they had a lot of the mats, the Shatterpoint like deck boxes and stuff. So yeah, that was pretty much a lot of what I saw was being sold there.
Yeah. We had already mentioned Nanatuk from Cosmos. Another game that we're anticipating is the Exit, the Disappearance of Sherlock Holmes. Yeah.
So it's like Watson hiring you to help try to figure it out. We love the Exit games. We know it's hard to kind of do that video because it's very spoilery then. Because it's like the one-off games, but we're really big fans of the Exit series.
Yeah. So another game that we kind of walked by that we didn't know anything about was Only Murders in the Building, and that was from Goliath and Funko Games.
Yeah.
This is one where it's a cooperative game, but you can't really talk to each other.
Interesting.
You're moving one of the three characters around, which is
Mabel,
Steve
Charles,
Martin,
and Oliver.
Yeah. I was going to say Steve Martin Short, and Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
But you're trying to go around to the different apartments and collect clues that you're going to be putting in the middle of the map and kind of linking them to certain things. You can, once around, you can text, which basically you're going to have one person show you a card that they have in their hand, because you're either going to be using cards to move, search, and it's got to be on the selected character.
Yeah, and then certain apartments don't want certain characters to be welcomed in, so you kind of have to maneuver how you move those characters around the board to get them in to look for those clues.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
The way you find out if your clues are successful is you put a card in this little, looks like a 3D printed version of the building, and then you open the little windows and see, that's who they like
They like jewelry, so if you find jewelry in their
apartment, that gives you a hint. And then once you think you suspect the murderer, you open the front door and it'll tell you who it was. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah, and the murderer if they collect 6 clues, then you lose, or if you guess incorrectly. But yeah, that was kind of cool because you put this card in that thing and you open up.
Yeah,
it was really cool neat. So you can have different cards, different scenarios for each of those games. So a couple of games that we found out that are coming out next year that kind of caught our eye was Overthrown from Smirk and Dagger. Now, they didn't have a production copy because, like I said, it's
very
coming out
early
next year.
Stages.
But that game looks really cool. And it's a simple concept game, but it's one where you're going to have 3 characters and you're going to pick one that's going to be your main. And you've got the section of a board, you've got pieces on a board in a circle, and you're trying to get your piece to the very center or kill basically the other characters that you have or kill your opponent's character. And you've got I guess you'd call it a turn selection column on the side that's got little tokens for each one of those. And at the very top of that, they're in a list. At the very top of that list, there's 2 swords, so those are the ones you can use for combat. They also have wreaths, which are going to allow you to move them. And when you use one, it goes to the bottom of the list. Well, the bottom 4 are locked, so you can't do anything with those until those move their way up the list. So that looked really cool.
It'll make more sense when you see the video too, and the guy explains it.
Yeah, we went actually back to the booth because we wanted to see that and get it on camera. So that was really neat.
And he said the mat that they were using was done by the designer's mom had created that, so it was a cloth map. And she had sewn the little pieces together to give it for the demo.
And they said they want that.
Yeah, they said they like the cloth looking because it looks a little bit more authentic for the medieval time period they're working with. But for production value, it would probably be a board or a neoprene mat.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The other big news we heard was, of course, we had to go by our friends at Upper Deck.
Yeah.
And they announced
it was a Neopet booth. Which we knew in advance because they were promoting the Battle Dome trading card. But we did get some really cool cards as well. Just one of those little freebies we did.
Freebie thing you could go up and do. But their big announcement was they're coming out with Legendary 2nd Edition.
Yes.
Now, the difference is If you have the first edition, you'll know that all the characters' art is the same regardless. So you have 14 pieces or 14 cards that all have the same art.
Yeah.
This is going to be all new art, plus they're going to have a different character mix.
Yeah.
So I think they had some X-Men on the box.
Yeah.
So
I think Wolverine was on the front. I know Loki was. I want to say Magneto. They were showing off cards for Spidey and Black Widow. So yeah, so that'll be cool to get. They were also simplifying some of the rules, making it a little bit easier for you to kind of get into. It was going to include a abilities list in the rule book, so that will be handy as well to kind of go over all those keywords.
Yeah.
So that will be nice. So looking forward to that one coming out.
Yeah.
That might even get a neoprene mat too, because like instead of the board,
I'm sure it will,
with
because
some
all of
upgraded
them
components.
have kind of done
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, looking forward to that one.
And you know, I normally don't do the ribbons, but I actually did, because the first one I saw, this one we got some free dice with it. It was Not a Robot
from Purdue Philosophy.
I got the Catan one, but the Pirate Board Crew, which was an RPG, which
they
is
were actually really
pretty cool.
Yeah, and then I got a bunch too, but I was mainly collecting free dice. So then I was like, there's buttons and ribbons too.
I don't have a lot of stuff, but
yeah,
I do have. You know, we were talking about our 10th anniversary button, because we were celebrating our 10th anniversary.
Yeah,
we did have quite a few of you viewers that came up to us and said, "Hey, Dad versus daughter."
It was really cool. Yeah.
So we really loved having that happen, having that interaction. You know, being able to talk to you for a little bit, and of course, you know, gave you a little bit of swag. So that about does it. Like I said, I've got a lot of work I've got to do, because we had so many videos that we shot.
Yeah.
To show you, you know, all the different games. So I'll be doing that, and those are going to be probably trickling out over the next few weeks, just because it's going to take me a while to get to that.
We'll get some unboxings up too of some of these games, so those will be in the mix as well. Actual playthroughs and reviews will come later down the line, but we'll give you something to kind of anticipate, looking forward to.
But we had a great time. Looking forward to going back next year.
Yep.
So that'll do it for our wrap-up video, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Thanks for watching our video. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, click that like and subscribe button. You can also follow us on social media like Facebook
and Twitter at DadVDaughter.
And if you like what we do and you want to support us, you can visit our Patreon page. So thanks for watching.
Thanks.